with this thing for like an hour. Excuse me, I'm sick. But here we are. Showcase. I deadass do not care if this comes out shoddy. If it does, we'll just cover this in editing. And the video will probably end up being shoddy too. I've been fighting with this thing all day. I've literally deleted almost everything from my computer to get this to work. So, we're just gonna get into it. Obviously, I'm in a different spot today. I'm on my bed. It's because I didn't feel like being at my desk. Plus, this is damn near 2 hours. So, here we are. So, let's just get into it. I'm already done. And it's gonna load. There we go. Oh.
Yeah. I'm up. Welcome, fellow internet peoples. Welcome to the extremely anticipated, critically acclaimed by the 1% feature-length 3rd annual QnA, plus the super filled to the brim fan art showcase. Here, you also get the first mention of the 2 side projects. There are timestamps available in case you're already bored of me talking. Anywho, let's get this video going.
Let's go!
What role do non-mercenary characters like Miss Pauling, the Mac Brothers, or Saxon Hale have in TSU? They don't have a role in TSU. The most you'd get is a reference that could or could not be related to the TSU lore. How do you design the loadouts for background characters? Is there any thought put into them like the main character's loadouts? I just think of what job they have and work from there. If they're a civilian, I'll give them a fitting look. If they're a fragger, I'll give them a fitting look. Scrapper, same thing. Process is simple, really. Do you plan to use Blender to up your projects for future episodes of SOL and TSU, or stick to only SFM? I use Blender to render my frames into a video format, and from what I've experienced with it, from my progress of very slowly learning how to port models to SFM, I wouldn't tackle animation at all. I know SFM is unstable, old, and crappy, but it's by far the easiest one to learn from my experience. Learning Blender to do animation would take me years to learn, and then porting every single thing I use from SFM to Blender, that's just an absolutely headache waiting to haunt me. Unfortunately, the actual series of FNAF Underworlds, my AU, is probably not going to be possible in SFM because of how ambitious it is. Modeling the world of Limbo, modeling all Limbo life forms, the maps, the characters, the monsters, it's too much for a crummy engine like SFM. But that's another problem really, because besides animation I can't really model nor draw, so I cannot come up with like concepts on the drawing board. It's a shame, but I'll take what I can get out of what my skills are, aka slice of life. To Fixer, what got you into wanting to make sentry guns? And if you could redesign some, given some of the sentries and tech you have seen at your jobs, what type of sentry you going for?
I've always loved working with machines. Alright, the most important thing of all is to be able to build a normal one first.
Right.
Make sure all of its properties work fine, like the targeting systems, movement, hauling, anything that requires their input or output. After I figure that one out, we'll see what I'll try to come up from there.
I hate ads. Okay. I was about to lose.
Considering your current design, have you ever considered what you or your family would look like as glam rock animatronics? What's a glam rock?
Don't worry about it.
He doesn't know them yet.
How many people will you be able to take into your group?
I'd say 4 is the magic number.
Ooh.
Is there a possibility of a non-stand user to join your group?
Yes, there is a possibility. However, they would not be suited for combat. Combat against the distortion is too dangerous for non-stand users. There's a good reason why us anomalies have a better chance at surviving, but even so, we can get overwhelmed if we don't have an ace in the hole.
How you doing? Doing just fine.
Oh, it's cute.
Why was the first half of the first episode of TSU so different in tone from the rest of the series? I already answered this question in the previous Q&A, but here's a short version. Retcon, because my initial idea for TSU was different, and halfway through I had the concept of TSU that you know today. To jumpsuit, are you willing to protect Fixer and Bump Bot from anything?
The
Especially
scout
the
bot.
Distorted? Just want to say, TSU has inspired me to write again, and I just wanted to say thank you for providing an amazing series. Hey, you're very welcome, good sir. I'll always be happy that people appreciate my passion projects. The biggest question I have is what happened to the Acolyte from episode 1? Nothing happened with Acolyte. He will come back very soon. Is that something that is tied into the soldier? No, not really. His powers aren't related to Kiev being born. Is everyone's stand tied into what class they are? Yes, humanoid stands are tied to what class they are. It's what makes sense to me. Blackimus, are you a
The stolen variants and Druketani desk engineer.
The fuck away from me, B.
No, I'm Blackimus. And yes, I asked TDC to make a tiny desk version of Teddy, the blue engineer that shows up in lots of TSU episodes and even in Slice of Life.
That he does.
Is there a possibility that Lolbit will appear in Slice of Life? Lolbit won't exist as a character, but as something else that I honestly think would fit really well. Hopefully, I'll be able to show it someday. And to Withered Foxy, how'd you feel when Vixen and Plushtrap started dating?
That's a good one.
Confused. I was initially confused about it because of the dynamic, but then I saw how happy Vixen was. So now I'm happy.
This is music, though.
How much do you know about SCP and the SCP Foundation? I like to say I know a lot about SCPs because I really like the whole universe the community has made. I've played some SCP games, namely Containment Breach. I read a lot of articles about them,
Yep.
and even got some of it as inspiration for the VAC, including Foster's voice, being a reference to Nine-Tailed Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Are
Nine-Tailed
you
Fox.
against the SCP Foundation? I hope not. Do you wish to work?
They'd be the
for
last
SCP
motherfuckers you want to be
Foundation?
against.
Hell no. I value my life.
I like living.
Why did you get into animation? Because ever since I saw Gmod videos of Left 4 Dead, TF2, and Half-Life, I fell in love with it. This happened during my youth, so as you can see, it grew and grew to the point where we stand here today.
Yay.
Where did you get your inspiration for your characters and or their stands? From everything I've enjoyed in my life. Games, shows, movies, comics. Mostly games, as that's what I know the most about. Apart from the obvious inspirations from anime.
Oh,
like
I was
JoJo
looking
and
over
Baki,
here, and then I just see
TSU has a
some
lot of
pop into the corner of my
inspirations
eye.
and philosophies
Oh,
from
my
games
heart.
like Soma,
I can't take
Dead
this.
Space, SCP, Resident Evil, Borderlands, and a lot more. Question for Heavy Guy. Since you are more of a brawler, do you use fist weapons, like the killing gloves of boxing, the eviction notice, etc., during some fragging matches, or just your bare fists?
Bare fists, friend. They are never too slow or too quick. They are reliable and show your true strength without modifications.
Question for Skimmer. What was your biggest ever catch?
Skimmer
on
gets
one
a
of your
question.
fishing trips?
That's a good one, mate. I wouldn't
Story.
spill the beans on my biggest catch, but I'll tell you one of my most bizarre ones. It was a foggy morning.
My
Me
fucking
and
ad
some
block
mates were
doing
out in a
overtime.
closed lake in the middle of an island, an abandoned place with ruins of ancient civilization. Didn't seem like much, but the place was too quiet, and the lake was massive, deceptively deep. We brought guns because not all fauna like to be caught, which is understandable. In the thick fog, we started to see some glowing lights, like wisps.
We thought we were in an underworld influence place, so we started to row away. One of our rods got pulled from the boat, just swiped clean off the boat in a flash. Then, a scaly hand grabbed onto the boat and we just sprayed Hail Mary all over that hand with lead. We heard a scream inside the water. We reloaded our guns and out comes a bloody humanoid fish monster. The thing jumps on the boat and we shoot it for what felt like minutes. Finally, the creature drops dead in our boat. More of those lights show up in the fog. We turn on the engine and we just book it out of that bloody lake. The thing looked like a pyro, had a fish for a head, and the body was scaled, bullet resistant, I reckon. It wore some kind of tribal adornments, which I'm sure were worth a fancy dollar. And the rest is history, mate. Can't tell you all the details.
How many people are helping you make those animations?
Himself.
Nobody. All of my animations are made by me and me alone.
Me,
However,
myself,
voice
and I.
acting recently has gotten a lot of help from quite a few people, like Bodie, Scotch, Kirby, and Mitchell. To Heavy Guy and Kia, when working in frag lobbies, what is your preferred loadouts of choice?
Default.
Default.
But I use sandwich instead of shotgun.
And I use gunboats.
Are the fighting scenes inspired by Crash Mall, or did you just make the fighting animations on your own without any inspiration? My fighting scenes are not inspired by Crash Mall because if I were to be inspired by his fights, I would vow to never animate fights ever again. My fights do have inspiration from Baki, where I take some of it and blend it with my
Sounds about
style,
right.
like Heavy Guy's uppercut to the Bruiser. That was completely inspired by Jack's uppercut to Pickle,
Oof.
still from Baki. Even though I hate animating fights, at the end of the day, I'm always happy with the result. To Heavy Guy, can you punch Inji for me?
What, Eiji? This Eiji? I cannot. I can sense his overwhelming power.
Brian,
He
you did
is
not
too
do this.
strong.
To Smoke, does your girlfriend know that he used a bow?
Funny enough, that's how we started talking. She took an interest in me using a bow, because who the hell would use a bow other than a sniper, right?
To Fixer, since you are a scout, do you have the mobility of a scout, mate?
Not really. I'm just a civilian.
What is your naming thought process with stand names and powers, or names in general? This is my process on average. Exceptions are possible. I come up with the stand user first. Class, backstory, personality. With these traits, I start thinking of a stand type. Humanoid or object. Humanoid is the most common, so we'll stick with that. So, humanoid stand. Find a fitting power, knowing the user, build it up with strengths and weaknesses. And then
Still.
build a look. After all of this, I come up with a name that can be related to either the power, the theme, a music album, a song name, or completely unique, aka none of the above. My question is about the SU. So, were you initially experimenting with different ideas, or were you not sure of what the show was going to be about until later? I already answered this question. The
Yes,
main
hair.
idea
Okay.
changed midway through episode 1 to what we have today. The older QnAs explain this better. Would you say
Like
that
I'm
you
too close.
improved and or radically changed
And I
as
know
an
I'm not.
animator while
It just- it
producing
feels
the
like it.
episodes? I am confident, proud, and recognize that I have improved drastically ever since I started with animation properly. Every time I look back at my older videos that I've made in these 3 years, I don't feel regret or disappointment. Just pure pride because I did the best I could with the experience I had at the time. Thank you and keep up with the good work. I feel that you're up with the likes of HoovyTube and the Fuck Boom in talent. Before I get into this last bit, a direct disclaimer in case people misunderstand what I'm going to say after this. I'm not here to compete with anyone in the SFM community of animators. I am only here to do my thing, share my passion projects with you, and feel good about you enjoying them. I'm not a competitive person by nature, and due to my life experiences with it, I find it does exorbitantly more harm than good. If you are an animator looking for advice from me, take this and ingrain it in your head. Do not be competitive in the world of animation and have fun making your projects. You can probably apply this to anything IRL too. That is all. Anyway, up with people like HoovyTube? Yes. In terms of the series we have, I believe his Magnificent Nine next to the Scratch universe are quite similar. And his series is basically one that I can recommend anytime someone wants to find a series like mine. I don't mention Slice of Life because this series of mine is living in its own universe, in complete solitude, having fun doing its own thing. Up with the boom? Nah,
You can just
absolutely not.
hear the smile
TSU
in
will
his voice,
never
and
reach levels of
I love
popularity
stuff like
like
that.
his Skibidi series. TSU to me is niche. Niche content does not cater to mainstream audiences. People like me who are trying to do an original series in SFM will pale in comparison, no matter what. But hey, if I'm wrong here, I hope YouTube proves me otherwise. Do you have the entire TSU story planned out, or do you write it as you go? Both, actually. The story has the important bullet points among the episode list. So when I look at an episode's file, it shows me the important things that must happen in it. When it's time to grab an episode and go to work, I give the skeleton of the episode, the flesh and skin, to make it all work together. My only question is about Slice of Life. I use SFM and Blender to make my own FNAF art and such, and I was curious if your usage of older models for sub-characters, such as Springtrap, was a stylistic choice, or to preserve memory in certain shots or scenes. Exactly what you said. Most of it is for performance reasons, because for those of you who don't know, SFM cannot handle a lot of FNAF models loaded in the same project file. Even if the project itself is well optimized, which I already do. Springtrap's model is a case of performance plus good looks. Most of the character casts are the same thing, except for Wendy, where his model was a stylistic choice because there's lore reasoning behind it. Not sure if this has already been answered, but how come Hot Rod was killed instead of being distorted like everyone else at Railway United?
Oh, why are we getting ominous here? Oh shit!
After all you have seen so far, does that remain a fact? Or is that what you want to believe? Don't let the eye fool the mind, partner.
I suppose in the sense of like what we've seen of him has only been through Fixer's mind in this and in the aftershocks of a traumatic
In the
experience.
future, do you plan on using RVC AI voices to make real emotional voice lines from recordings for each or some characters in TSU? Yes, I do plan on using RVC as I very recently got working on my computer out of necessity. If there's anything I have learned from the 15.ai situation, which affected TSU
Whatever
greatly,
happened?
is that
What
being
happened?
dependent on a third party
They probably got
website
sued.
is a
That's probably what it
really
was.
bad idea. I'll still use 11 Labs because its AI is better at delivery in certain ways, some of its audio quality is also better, and its pricing plans aren't ridiculous yet. RVC has taken a huge weight off my back and has made me feel so much relief and freedom that I don't have to worry every single day anymore about the future of the writing for most characters
If I
that
could
are
record
voice
this on my
acted
phone, I
by an
would.
actual
It's
person,
got better sound
unlike
quality than this.
Cinder, Heavy Guy, and Turge. I've run some tests on it, and I'm very impressed with the results. Some voices I've tested are better than others, that much we already know, but I'll take what I can get.
To Beth and Plushtrap, what is the best skill and talent you both can do? If so, then can it either be helpful or
Blake?
useful in some way? Do I go first? Yeah, sure. Well, you look at me and you can pretty much
Plug?
see I'm not, you know, from here. I'm supernatural. I can go invisible in darkness. I can float. So I think I can be useful in here during Halloween times. I can do like poltergeist activity, zoom by people, scare people. I can do that. And I can use paranormal powers with Beth's help. I don't know what skills I have. I'd like to say
Beth
I'm
is
just
so
like
cute.
any other animatronic here.
Y'all
I
ever
do my
seen
job,
So MacGuffin?
but unlike them, I don't really
It kind of
rock
reminds me
my
of something
world.
they draw.
Kids are annoying. Hey, come on. You're not just an animatronic. I get where you're coming from, but I'm using your skills here. Without your skills, I'm just a really small animatronic who doesn't like working and isn't that social with customers at all. A very small animatronic who managed to win the heart of a tall, beautiful, and sexy human woman with his personality. Well, that's right. And who also managed to get me, a limbo native, romantically attracted to a completely different world of species. That's right. Well, hope you got something out of all of this.
What's Kia's favorite food?
Like that in the back of my mind, like.
Hey, Kia, what's your favorite food?
A good steakhouse burger. Anytime.
So for real.
He's right. Those are really damn good.
My bet.
You never ate one?
A good one. I am not sure anymore.
We'll fix that soon.
It's, you know, he does.
Is it possible for the distortion virus to affect non-human animals, or does it require sapiens to effectively create a drone? Yes, it is possible.
Expecting that little
And I
motherfucker
had an
to
idea
answer
in
the
mind to have
question.
distorted animals show up, like dogs, cats, and birds. They would act as pure cannon fodder, effectively zombie-like. I scrapped the idea because it didn't really stick with me after some time, also because I really don't like animating quadrupeds and animals in general. So yeah, I might change my mind later down the line, like how I did with female mercenaries not being a part of TSU, and then we ended up with Smoke and Cinder, and more. You never know.
To Foster, what do you think of other TSU characters? Fixer and Jumpsuit are good in my book. Bonkbot, I'll have to wait and see. And those three stand users? I'll wait for Bravo to retrieve the backbone files first. What is your greatest fear? My greatest fear? Losing everyone. What kind of life did you live before TSU? What kind of life did I live before TSU? A really hard and busy one, where I had to prove myself and push above my physical and mental limits way too many times. It was all worth it in the end, though.
Also, thank you so much for everything,
Wow.
Blackimus. I wonder if you're.
What's Picer? I know Picer.
You're welcome, Pacer. And
Picer.
absolutely,
Pacer?
You already
Picer.
did so much for the show.
I'm sick. I'm
I gotta
fucking
show you my
stupid as
thanks
shit.
for that. I think I got every fan art you did on the showcase. Guys, check out Pacer on Twitter. They made a ton of really awesome fan art for TSU, like the VAC, the Stan User Boyos, and the Three Scout Brothers. And even the very first fan-made comic. I never even expected us to reach this far. And here we are. I'm grateful. In what did consist your vacation slash break you took? Did something fun, or just wanted to get relaxed? I relaxed, took time away from animation, played some sweet games, solo, and with good friends of mine. Worked on background things like the future
Cute.
side projects, did some personal SFM pictures, worked on both Wikipedias, did quite a few things. You can get more consistent updates, quote unquote, on Blackimus's Twitter. Can we get more information about how the human abilities worked on the TSU, like we saw in the last part with Bravo, Foster, and Dispatch? You'll get your answers in due time along the episodes. How many stand users do you plan to add to the series? Very few left, actually. I don't want to blow the series with stand users. the entire point of TSU isn't just stand users. I can only remember two from the top of my head. One's confirmed to appear soon, and the other one's likely to be added eventually. Things might change, but I honestly doubt it. To Janitor, as you seem to work with Foster, do you have any special abilities yourself?
I'm sore from yesterday. I was 2 days ago actually. I was working out.
I can clean things really, really well, if that counts.
How common are stand users? Not a damn clue, but I'd like to keep them rare. Are the Mann brothers still alive? I don't want to bring TF2 canon characters like the Mann brothers, Gray Man, Saxton, Hale, Pauling, etc. into TSU. I want to keep TSU as unique as possible with its character roster while paying respect to the TF2 universe itself. Is Saxton Hale still around? He won't be around in TSU. Best that I can do is a reference or two. Is it possible for the distortion to affect machines
Ready.
slash magical beings? Robots can be infected, but it's with the use of whimmers. That's why they exist. However, regarding the rest, I haven't given it much thought as I already have too much work on my table. Turge proves that prejudice regarding the mercenaries exists, scouts and badlanders in his case. But how widespread are these beliefs? They are as widespread as the people who want to be bothered
Can
with
you
prejudice
stop?
in the first place. Turge
I'm
follows this
tired of
ideal
seeing your
because he
dumbass.
is a judgmental
Go
character,
away.
while Skimmer scolds him off to stop being
You
an
didn't
asshole.
win the poll.
It's
Leave me
happened in
alone.
Episode 5 and episode 6. This is why I like writing Turge, because he
You
is a
don't know,
different
I
character
did a.
and gives a different view
I'm doing
on TSU's
Valentine's
world.
polls over on
What
Twitter
Turge and others showed this
to
day
draw
for the
TSU
strange
characters.
mercenaries in the first episode, or even stand users. People fear the unknown, so if someone like Turge ever saw an anomaly, like the ones from episode 1, he would definitely avoid it at all costs and insinuate lots of bad things. If he saw a stand user like Heavy Guy, Kia, or Smoke, chances are he would never know this unless he witnessed them doing something. However, if Turge ever saw a stand team helping other people out, he'd eat his words and take it on the chin. He may be a judgmental person, but he's not immature or afraid of change. By the way, not sophism, if I pronounced that correctly,
In the server, the fan server.
behind the TV tropes page for TSU, in case you're not aware of it. I cannot really explain what TV tropes are because I honestly don't even know how to phrase it in a way anyone would understand. But if you know, you know. They do their research, they do their homework, and the pages have my personal approval. It is a joy to read them. You heard them. If you are into this business, feel free to help them out. Just please respect the source and don't add misinformation. To Fixer, I know you feel like it's your fault for what happened, but it's not. No one could have predicted an attack from aliens.
All the time.
Of all things. So please, don't blame yourself for what happened, and don't let PTSD tell you otherwise.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Question to Foster. Have your soldiers killed the Walker drone to where it was intact? And if so, maybe you could have tweaked it to where you can turn infected back. To where it was intact, not a chance in hell. Even if we did, reverse engineering something out of that technology, I don't know. But one thing is for certain, you cannot fix distortion. People want to believe in this. Believe that you can cure it, but you can't.
To Soldier, Heavy, and Smoke, do you sometimes feel
This is doing good. This is Bullfrog. If you haven't seen Captain Laserhawk, go watch it. Hopefully no lag. Please, for the love of God, no lag.
like your stands are watching you 24/7? Oh yeah, yep. It was really bad when I first got Switch, but everyone gets used to it after a while.
But it is not a bad thing. When you feel you are being watched, you will then know it is someone else, and not the stand.
Yeah, win-win.
To Vixen from Slice of Life. Have you and Plushtrap ever argued? I bet you did.
Yeah, we have. But it is really short lived because we then make amends almost immediately afterwards with hugs and kisses.
Our next question is from the man himself, HoovyTube. If you know who he is, nice. If you don't, well, do your research. He's the biggest channel so far who has acknowledged my existence. Someone who's been around for a hell lot longer than I have. And he's also one of the people who has just recently finished a good SFM series with similarities to mine called The Magnificent Nine. In case you're curious, the second biggest channel is Silent Man Joe. Yeah. Oh yeah. How many hours do you animate in an average day? Between 1 to 6 hours a day. With the way I work,
Damn eyeball
so
got
I
beef.
avoid burnout and among other things, I can work as little as 1 hour. If I'm in a good mood, building momentum, or animating things that I enjoy more, or are easier to do, I tend to do a lot more than just 1 hour.
I shake.
On average, it's between 3 to 4 hours a day. What parts of TSU draw inspiration from your personality / life? I am not aware of it if I do take inspiration from my life / personality to TSU. If I do, I probably do it out of subconscious things I think about when I'm writing. So it could be either be a bit of everything from my life or nothing at all depending on the person. But one thing is for certain. Slice of Life to me feels a lot more personal since I do know for a fact that some of the things I write about do take notes from general life things, not just my own. I won't go into details about that. What media inspires your own creations? Generally speaking, 80% of inspiration comes from video games. It's what I enjoy. I don't really care about movies, shows, comics, books, and anything between those lines. Although I can grab elements of inspiration from those, they pale in comparison to games because that's my main interest and hobby. Sorry, man. I'm not really an interesting person in real life. For Blackimus,
Yes.
will there be mercenaries immune to the distortion? I've said before and I'll say it again. Nobody will be immune to the distortion, and there will not be a cure for it. That's not a trope I'm going to follow. Heavy guy is not immune. Period. The reason he's alive is because of what happened between Omen's part and afterwards. Look again. Will there be rare type mercenaries / freaks? Let me try to explain this the best way I can. Example, a green scout who has the abilities to teleport and has super strength, or an orange soldier who has the abilities to manipulate fire, or something like that. In a way, I kind of did, but probably not in the main TSU series itself. I can't really add a billion things to the series, otherwise I'm never going to be able to go anywhere with it. As side stories, absolutely
have that
possible. Do the distorted mercenaries
posted on
feel
Twitter
normal
once.
mercenaries in reverse now, or is everything the same? And how do they see when their face is all distorted? Everything's the same. They understand and can talk English. They just choose not to do it. They don't care about our convenience. And how can they see with a distorted face? Well, you see, the answer is
We just do. Deal with it.
for Jumpsuit. When you and Fixer first encountered the distorted pyro, you seemed shocked, as if that was your first time seeing one. Even though you knew what the distortion was to begin with. Since you already knew about the fire weakness, I'm pretty sure it wasn't your first run in with them. So, why were you shocked?
me away from him.
We're not hitting the robot today.
I don't care.
Alright, team, love him.
YouTube's getting worse with this. My reasons. Brisky!
To smoke. Was wondering who are the other mercenaries you do scrapping duty with, besides your girlfriend, and what do you think of them? We're a group of 4. All of us are pyros. This is a group photo of us. From left to right, Flint, Cinder, Ash, and me, Smoke, in case you didn't know. Flint's our tank and brawn of the team. Born in the Badlands. Used to be a miner and a farmer. He likes to use an explosive sledgehammer, courtesy of the mines he worked at. The big man can duke it out with a heavy and win most of the times because he has a lot of technique around physical combat. He's got survival skills, he's a tactician, and can think of a plan on the fly. He can break a giant apart if you give him the time and babysit him. That's my job. He's a quiet guy, man of few words, but he cares about everyone in the group. Doesn't make a scene, unlike someone else you'll know soon enough. He's also quite polite. The man was an honest worker, if you can believe it. Well, as honest as it can get in the Badlands. What the How the hell did this... How the hell did that get in this... Must have been Ash. Definitely Ash. How did she even get her hands on this? But yeah, speak of the devil. Ash. This is Ash. She's a bit of a bloodthirsty, crazy chick. A loudmouth, likes attention, but also doesn't somehow. She likes to show off her looks like most pyro bimbos. But all of this aside, she knows her way around the battlefield. Also from the Badlands. She's a tactician, also has skills in close quarters combat, quite fast too. Likes rocking the shotgun with an axe playstyle. She has this high-tech magnetic bracelet on her arm, which makes her do some really crazy things, like shrapnel tornadoes, dash herself in a direction quickly, throw her axe with insane force, and then call it back, no problem. Number 1 advice around Ash, don't be a scout. She will love to break you apart. Not literally, but mentally. She loves doing that. If you're a scout and she notices you, just run away. Save yourself the trouble. We started off in bad terms, kind of, because they were way too overprotective and clingy over Cinder, even after she told them to back off from me. They tested me. So, I stood my ground, and gave them reasons to respect me. Now, we're in good terms. We got there. If you earn their respect, they'll treat you as family. Oh, hi.
Yo,
What's up? You good?
do I gotta teach some little bitches a lesson?
Not this time, Ash.
No? Well, if they are, let me know.
Yeah, soon.
So, you like that little surprise I give you? That Cinder...
Shut your mouth! God! There's a camera! Sheesh. Also, yes, I did.
This is a question directly to you. Oh, we're getting personal here. Alright, let's do this. Have you ever played Monster Hunter?
Nope.
If so, what do you think of it?
Absolutely nothing.
If not, when will you fix that?
Never.
I've seen Monster Hunter and have friends who play it. It's not my kind of game. To Hope, why did you feel threatened by Springtrap during the sleepover with Plushtrap? And what made you act that way exactly?
justice behind them, hiding inside that casket. That is not to say you find them a bad person, because they are not. But it is difficult to get used to them.
To Ennard, if there was one thing you could change, what would it be?
You have been given a purpose, a duty. Times before the tainted malice left the company.
To Vixen and Plushtrap, how long have you been in a relationship? And what did you think of one another the first time you met?
To Vixen and Plushtrap, how long have you been in a relationship? We've been in a relationship for like 4 months? Yeah, close to 5 now. And what did you think of one another the first time you met? Oh god. You don't want to know. In my case, I thought he was a kid, like Bonbon, so I treated him like a little kid. I was being careful, spoke calmly, squatted down, arms on my knees, leaned over him, and said those first words. Do we really have to say this? Hey, little guy, what's your name? This isn't part of the question, Vix! Okay. So what did you think of me at the time? I don't want to say it. He's too shy.
To Ballora, who do you value the most out of everyone?
I value everyone equally. Everyone deserves a chance. The only factors that fluctuate amongst everyone is how much I trust them. In this regard, I hold many close to my heart. My fellow acolytes, Damocles, Vixen. There are many more.
Blackimus, I've got a question for you. Is it possible someday in the future,
Just the meme
either
version of
through
Blackimus.
Patreon or a Discord server, to
What's
submit
that?
OCs there that can be used for background characters /
Tell
infected for the Scratch universe?
Orange.
I've already thought about it, and I honestly don't see a good reason to do it. I don't want people to submit OCs that have a billion different items and textures, unusuals, killstreak effects, and other complicated things. I don't want any of that, because that will ruin the thing. And I already know if I do that, I'll get flooded with incredibly tedious and difficult OCs, like I said. And I don't need any more work than I have already. I'm sorry. I also see some people doing this out of pure selfish reasons, just to get themselves featured in a show that they probably don't care about, just so they can gloat to their friends. Hey look, my OC got featured in this show. People who think this way do not deserve my attention and respect, much less being added to my work. I already get comments from people who request for me to add their fan-made characters or fan-made stands without a care in the world, without respecting the source, my input, or anything related to my work. That's not okay, and I do not tolerate that behavior. Some of them have already gone out of their way to annoy me personally with private messages on Patreon. Doing this OC feature perk for Patreons would just be opening the floodgates for even more problems. Patreon right now is only there for people who want to support me by donations. The money from there is development funds, where I will use it to pay voice actors like Kirby and Mitchell
for,
and keep my pricing plan for 11 Labs going, so I can keep making these videos. A Discord server to me is just too much work, responsibilities, and it will cause problems for me. I don't need more of those. However, if you want to make a fan server, a fan Discord server for TSU or whatever, be my guest. Just be aware, I do not
it's not mine,
represent
but I'm in.
those servers. Have you ever thought about switching to Blender? I have. Like I said before in another question about Blender and SFM, I am very well aware of
Or you can look at the
SFM's biggest and smallest
Rackmoon or
problems.
Rackmoon
I am aware
on
that Blender
Twitter,
is
or not Twitter,
really
Instagram,
good,
and they have
really
it in their bio.
stable, constantly supported with assets, updates, yada yada yada. Even so, I'm sticking with SFM. I think it's easier to learn, not as overwhelming with the menus, tabs, UI, and all that. I very slowly, passively, started to learn how to port models to SFM. And let me tell you, everything is so damn confusing, and I'm just not going to commit to Blender to learn the animation part of it. I've already had that colossal headache for the years I was learning SFM. I'm not doing that again.
Oh my Jesus, take the wheel. That did not just happen. Oh my god. I was just trying to dust my fucking computer off. There's dog hair everywhere.
To SFM. And let me tell you, everything is so damn confusing, and I'm just not going to commit to Blender to learn the animation part of it. I've already had that colossal headache again. No thanks. I'm just using Blender for the frame to video rendering method that I use, and very slowly figured out porting models. Will you create a join button? You mean channel memberships? I mean, I might, but like Patreon, I don't plan on promising things I know I can't keep, like giving members additional extra content, behind the scenes, or whatever else is usually expected. I know I'm not going to be able to meet those expectations in a healthy way. The most I can do is add funny emojis from whatever I make, and that's really it. For Blackimus, what is your favorite TF2 class?
Heavy weapons guy. And this.
Mental Gen, this is Wildfire, a fellow fan of the channel and a lovely human being who has reacted to TSU and Slice of Life with his mates.
Support him.
First question to Heavy Guy Key and Smoke. You guys have such a great sync when it comes to combat. Natural adaptation?
When capable fighters are thrown into a pit, they have to adapt, or they will die. Unfortunately, not everyone adapts at the same rate, but it is within our primitive instincts. The combinations we've done so far with our powers are a result of this. We'll explore more of these tactics as we naturally grow with experience and observation. Good question.
Second question. Are we going to see P. Rick again? I have big plans for P. Rick. All because people have shown overwhelming love and interest over him, which made me reconsider him as a character. So yeah, here's a little fun fact about him. Question for him too.
Did you consider potentially joining KIA and Heavy Guy? Yeah, a part of me was happy to have found more people like me. People who have a stand. But knowing our little problem, I don't think they'd take it kindly at all. So I kept myself at bay. I never bothered to find them. I just went on my way to finally fix myself. So far, it's been nothing but good things, one after another. I'd like to see them again, but we'll see.
No! Damn it, boy! Hey, Rick! We could use your help!
I'm on my way.
Third and last, do you mind the fact that, I'm in the furry fandom? I think you already know the answer to this question, right? Remember TSU episode 1's reaction? I found you, watched the video, loved the video, commented on the video, subscribed to you, and shared your channel on my channel, community posting, as a show of gratitude and consideration. Ever since then, I've been looking forward to your reactions, along with many other people's reactions, as a personal motivation goal, if that makes sense to you. Personally, I got nothing against the furry fandom. My logic is simple in this regard. If people respect me, I will respect them. There are always bad apples amongst every single fandom in existence. Fandoms like the furries, bronies, anime fans, and all similar ones do not bother me. Simple as that. Their personal likes, interests, or
My
whatever
Hero
else
Academia
doesn't bother me.
fucking.
Again, as long as they respect mine in return, you're all good in my book, Wild. Trust me. Don't forget about what I told you about the VR chat videos you make. Okay, man? I am also really eager to show everybody the new projects I plan to develop very soon. I really cannot wait to see your reactions, man.
You're
You,
so
Coles,
giddy.
Isaacs, whoever tags along with you. It was a delight to see your questions, Wild. Stay safe, man. I hope everything's going to be okay with you. Got to be. Are there any characters you've had to redesign slash tweak due to SFM jank slash difficulty to animate? Ultra obvious technical nightmares aside, no character rings any bells on having to be redesigned or changed. When I design new characters, I usually consider SFM's problems in mind firsthand, so I don't end up wasting my time making something that is doomed to fail. Honestly, now that I think about it, yes, I did have to technically redesign the entire distorted models because the normal TF2 models have a really annoying thing called flex decay. In very simple terms, flex decay makes any kind of facial expression have smooth transitions, so it doesn't look choppy, I guess. I don't really care if I'm wrong here. I hate models with flex decay because it makes me have to decompile them to remove the property. I had to research and learn how to do it. After a lot of torture, I finally managed to do it. I removed flex decay from a lot of models. The nine mercenaries, static objects like puddles, liquids, curtains, and cloth. It was completely necessary as I was completely fed up of it. Anyway, the distorted facial expressions were never 100% there for this reason, and the technicalities always bugged me as I hopelessly tried to fix them in game with tons of band aids, which did absolutely nothing. So, yeah, to sum up, yes, I did. And not just characters, but props too. I love and hate SFM. Question to Kia: does American Myth's weaponry ever run out of ammunition, or is it based on another factor?
All stand abilities operate out of mental fortitude within our souls. The more we use, and or the stronger the ability, the more strain we put on our brain. There are many side effects, with the worst being death.
If the distortion is from another universe, does that mean there is a chance it has entered Slice of Life? In the crossovers I plan on doing, absolutely. This will not be canon, obviously. Distortion is exclusive to TSU in canon. Do you plan every scene, or is there some improv at times? Both. Sometimes the best ideas I get come as improv mid development. Is smoke trends?
I mean, technically, yeah. I'm fine with it.
What are some of your plans for the SOL series? Keep going? Give everyone a fair chance at the spotlight? Special episodes, hopefully. Why
No,
did
I'm
you
joking.
turn Smoke into a girl? Because it made sense knowing the Stan's origins and powers. And honestly, she looks a lot better this way. How did you come up with ideas for the
Eyeball.
Stans? By using my giga brain and my insane imagination. Does gay Ben exist?
Nope.
Do you consider remaking the Scratch Universe Episode 1? I actually have considered remaking it to my standards nowadays, but not a lot would change. The first half would get completely reworked, and the second half would be remade. If you did a video series about Zombie Army Trilogy, how would it start? I have no idea. I don't even know what that is. Also, would you be thinking about making your own skip? Smoke, what's your opinion on random crits?
Fair and balanced, as long as I'm the one who gives them.
Foster, is speed and super strength your main abilities, or do you have more?
In the VAC, you don't become an L5 by just having those two abilities. The L5s are the best of the best in the entire server network. Use this information as you wish.
Bonkbot, would you want to be a superhero? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think I would, cause I think that's my duty, you know? I was built to protect my owner, and I did that successfully. But the real way United incident, it made me think about it. There's people out there who need help, and maybe I could be their guy, you know? I need to prove to the world that not all robots are evil. There's some of us good guys out there.
Will you make an Attack on Titan series in future episodes? No? I mean, look, we all need to accept that Attack on Titan is over, and it's probably not going to get a sequel at all. I have enjoyed Attack on Titan, but me making an animated series of that in SFM would just be impossible. All the models, maps, assets, getting music rights to all of the soundtracks, the animation itself having to be anime styled but actually good, the incredibly massive fandom who would complain about anything I do wrong or inaccurately, and doing all of this by myself because of how I do my workflow? Nah, man. To Jumpsuit, do you think of Fixer as a friend or a brother?
The little brother I never. Oh!
Daddy Blackimus, where did newborn mercenaries come from? Ah, what a good question, little Jimmy. Everyone, gather around and sit down.
Get away from me.
Get away from me. Where mercenaries come from.
Get away from me.
This is Bob. Bob, everybody.
Morning.
Bob is created because love. Bob gets greeted with a roster of 9
insane lunatics.
Bob checks with each
insane lunatics
information and will then pick accordingly. Bob wants to be a heavy.
For the world video.
So now Bob will pick his name and his home server.
Yeah.
Bob wants to be called Bob. And his home server will be Portugal, because what would you honestly be expecting? Bob finishes this process and will now spawn in a residential server. Bob spawns in a suburbia map. Bob is now ready to start his life.
So silly. So silly.
Disaster duo? That sucks. Fleas and ticks suck too. Celeste can help with this one. The #1 vet recommended flea and tick collar for 8 continuous months. Stop sucking.
I'm not cutting any of this out. This is too much editing. I don't care. We're only like an hour in. Oh my.
And that, fellow peoples, is how mercenaries are born. No questions.
No questions.
For Vixen, what is your gender? Not trying to be rude or anything. Also, love your personality too. Keep it going.
For real.
I'm a female adult woman. Also, thank you.
Woman?
Thank you. I am a happy person, and I do my best to spread it to the people around me. It worked for me. It worked for them.
How do you come up with the idea / plot of the Scratch Universe series? A very wild imagination and tons of inspirations from a lot of things. To hope, I know this might be something you don't want to talk about, but I'm curious. What did you go through in limbo?
Rogant. Cuida persiste in limbo. Dolor. Detrimentum. Rejection. Proditio. Cannibalismus. Magnum feciste. Tiber. Okay.
No, sandwich. Yes.
What is your favorite country?
The poor baby.
Sem qualquer tipo de preconceito, qualquer nada, absolutamente nada, nadinha. Will P-Rick ever return? I already answered this. How P-Rick's stand, Drop-In, was a weaker version of Jotaro's stand, Star Platinum. I wouldn't say weaker, just balanced. About 3 characters I was curious about in my mind: Fixer, Heavy Guy, and Jumpsuit. Are you bringing up the lore stories in the next
Jumpsuit.
episode sometime?
I'm ready.
Fully fledged backstories? No. Tidbits of it? Definitely. I already have a lot to do, and the story needs to move forward. The only chance that a fully fledged backstory will happen is with side episodes. How difficult is SFM? Like anything, when you first start, it's really difficult because it's new and you know nothing about it. After you gain experience with it, with whatever learning method, it's not difficult, but it takes a while. It is a commitment. Is it worse than Blender? Nah, Blender is a lot worse than SFM to me. I just want to say, what animation series takes long to make? Scratched Universe, hands down. Slice of Life might take a while, but it doesn't feel like that at all, because of how simplistic it is for me. Will the commander have a stand?
I see.
Will there be any custom-made characters joining the series? I fucking wish, man. We saw the gentleman and CBS. Are they stand users like Fierce? Nah, not everyone's gonna be a stand user. We have enough already.
Vixen, you said that mini arenas speak with accents similar to Slavic. When did you hear someone speaking with a Slavic accent? Quite a few times on TV, in shows, in games, a lot of places, really.
How are you doing? Mir geht es gut. Danke. Have you ever had any errors while animating? If so, how was the experience solving them?
You get to know me. That's usually my response to things. Danke.
Making errors in animation and somehow only noticing them after I've released them on YouTube? No way, man. My experience solving errors that I did notice, quickly enough, start off with one of these 3. After that, I fix the issue, or band-aid them if the problem is more stubborn. I usually don't have trouble fixing errors, but there are some that I just don't care because it's SFM's outdated engine shenanigans or it's spaghetti code. Is it possible for Hoovy Duddy to be in the Scratch universe for at least one episode? Man, I really wish I could pay tribute to Spunky's Hoovy Duddy series. Like, I really want to do it since I really enjoy watching the whole thing, and also because he actually watches TSU. But the thing is, knowing how far in the story I am script-wise, fitting Hoovy Dundee in there wouldn't work. But as a completely separate episode, still in universe, I could. The only issue I see is me not doing a respectful and accurate homage to Hoovy Dundee's character and lore. Because if I were to add him, it'd have to be a reimagined or a reincarnation of the character and its lore in order to fit TSU's setting. And it's not easy. When making videos, do you do the post-processing effects in editing? Or
I used to have these issues where it would just stop randomly, so I'd lose like half of the video. Oh my goodness. We're halfway through this. Oh, my back hurts so bad, actually. Okay. Out. Don't judge me.
or in SFM? I do my post-processing and editing. How many hours in SFM and TF2? Hours don't mean anything to me, since you can farm them by just being AFK. Nonetheless, everyone has their learning curve in SFM. Mine was a bit quicker in that regard. Yeah, I've played TF2 mainly in chill trading servers and MVM for like 80% of my time. I don't care about the PvP. Opinion on Blender. Don't really have one.